welcome to my studio. I'm Artemis and I make custom dolls. Today I'm going to be starting a red carpet series inspired by Disney princesses. Of course, starting things off, I'm going to be making Cinderella. I wanted to add some diversity into this collection, so I'll be basing my Cinderella off of Brandy's portrayal in the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella from 1997. Plus, Disney just brought Brandy back to play Cinderella in their new Descendants movie, The Rise of Red. I don't want to recreate her dress from the movie, but instead take inspiration and create a modern interpretation that a designer might make for a red carpet event. I also want to take inspiration from Disney's live-action Cinderella, as the costuming is incredible. So let's get started. For the doll, I'll be using this base of, I believe, Carmen from Rainbow High. I did change out her eyes for a brown pair, and I've already removed the factory paint that I didn't want to use. For other materials, I'll be using blue organza with glitter flowers, a slightly sparkly white organza for a petticoat, a darker blue organza, complete with more glitter, and a baby blue chiffon to help pale out the layers. I will also be using a blue ribbon I've had in my stash for I don't even know how long, and some beads and other sparkly things to really deck out this dress. Now that we've gone through the materials, today I want to start with the dress. I basically make my own fabric here by seam tape gluing a couple layers of organza together to get a more opaque and a more sheer version. I cut out my pattern pieces and will start by sewing darts into the bust pieces, then sewing the outer and inner pieces together, and sewing the corset pieces at the side seams. Now that the corset is seamed together, I'll be adding embroidery thread to look like boning channels. I then add a layer of chiffon to better match the cup pieces and sew everything together. With the bodice finished, I'm going to add some embellishment with beads. Onto the skirt, I will be using many layers, again inspired by the live-action dress. With the dress all put together, you can see I've added a ribbon to the waist, as well as an off-the-shoulder sleeve, and of course a corseted back. They turned out so beautiful that I'm really excited now to get into the doll. To start off, I need to paint her scalp black to match the hair that I'm going to reroot her with. To do this, I use a mixture of acrylic paint and Mod Podge to keep it flexible, and to keep it from chipping off while I reroot. I usually have to apply 2 to 3 layers to get a full opaque coverage. Here are the tools that I use for rerooting: a hairdryer to keep the vinyl soft enough to keep from breaking my needles, and a reroot tool from Shimmerlocks, not sponsored, but I love them. And for hair, I'm actually using Shimmerlocks' Nylon Nightmare braids for this reroot, and oh my gosh, it's so pretty. To reroot with micro braids, I use a size 1 needle, and instead of looping the hair halfway on a strand, I root just one end of the braid into the head. In some places, I reroot every hole, and in others, I skip a hole here and there. I want it to look natural, but also not show her painted scalp. I do make sure that the ends of the braids are tucked into the head before moving on to the next strand. I'll reroot all the way around her hairline in 2 rows just to make sure I have maximum coverage, and be right back. With her head fully rooted, I pulled out a couple of strands I want to use as face framing curls, and noticed that her scalp is pretty shiny. I'll be pulling her braids up into a bun for styling, but I don't like that you could see some shine peeking through, so I'm going to cover the scalp with brushed out yarn to pull in more of a matte and natural look. I've masked off her eyes and pulled up her hair, and now we can get into her face up. To start off, I did give her a base layer of MSC, and we'll start by deepening her lip shade just a little. I kept her factory lips as I liked the 2-toned color. I just wanted the colors to be a bit different, so I'm just using it as a base. For her eyes, I start off by giving her a natural reddish brown shadow on her lower lash line, and then jump right in with some mint green and blue eyeshadow. I'll later have to go back over this, as the doll does have a deeper complexion, so I need a white base layer to really get the pigment to stand out. I did also pull out a silver glitter mica powder that I initially intended to use just as eyeshadow, but quickly decided that she was missing some sparkle, so she got a full face of sparkle. On my next layer of MSC, you can see I brought in a white pastel pencil to lay down a base to keep those blues and greens standing out and actually looking opaque. I love this pencil as it's so opaque and really cuts down the need to layer to get a good white base that normal pastels just don't give you. And since the white is so opaque, I can actually go in with a little bit of that green and blue without even spraying another layer. For the next several layers, I'll just be working on pushing and pulling colors on the lips, the eyeshadow, and a little bit of blush on her cheeks. And of course, I add a couple layers of that micro glitter before I spray, as the MSC will dull down the shine. I, of course, need to give her a little bit more defined of a brow to fit with the style of face-up that I personally like to do. And later I'll go in and add some single hairs. But being that it's black, it's a detail that doesn't show up very well on camera and not really all that well in person either, but it makes enough of a difference that I'm uncomfortable not doing it. For her bottom lashes, I wanted to stick with a more neutral look, so I went in with a brown watercolored pencil to sketch them out. But at this point, I decided I kind of wanted to give her white eyeliner, as I was feeling that normal black would just look a little too harsh on her. I sketch out her white eyeliner with my chalk pencil. I do blend it out a little bit, but I'll also sharpen it up again in my final touches. Again, this pencil is so opaque, I love it so much. When I'm finally happy with the color payoff of the makeup, I seal her face again and then go in with white acrylic paint to really brighten up that eyeliner, as well as add some lower lashes, and then I'll also go in with black paint to give her molded on baby hairs some definition. I seal her face a final time before revealing her eyes. I add lashes off camera and gloss her lips. She is stunning. I'm so glad I went with the white eyelashes. It gives her a very magical, mysterious look. Anyway, now I can style her hair, again off camera, while I make a couple butterfly accessories and give you a little sneak peek of her glass slippers. To tie into the live-action Disney Cinderella, I wanted to add some butterflies. First, I found an old pair of earrings in my stash that I painted over with some UV nail polish, and then added a couple of rhinestones to make her some adorable earrings. Then I make some resin butterflies to add to her hair. To do this, I use some doll packaging and sketch on some butterfly wings, and then go over them in UV resin. I attach these to pins, and then I can add them to her hair. I originally wanted to make these gorgeous butterfly heels made of resin, but it was like everything I tried just wasn't working for me. Sometimes this happens, and it's a bummer, but we get through it. I'll show you the simple resin sandals that she ended up with, but honestly, with her dress on, it's so long and full you can't even tell whether she's wearing shoes or not. So, I guess all of that extra effort was a little bit in vain. Before we jump into the end result pictures, it would mean a lot to me if you would go ahead and boop that subscribe button. And you might as well tickle the bell while you're there. Leave this video a like if you enjoyed it, and comment down below which Cinderella movie is your favorite. Anyway, enjoy the pictures. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.